So yesterday we have learned about what is STLC and what are the different phases in project development, right? So today we are going to learn software testing lifecycle, what is a black box testing and white box testing, different levels of testing involved in testing field, and how to write a test case on an application. So before going to today's agenda, do you have any doubts in yesterday's class? If anyone has any doubts, you can ping me in chat. Okay, so today let's see what is a software testing life cycle. So yesterday in STLC we have seen different phases like requirements gathering, analysis, design, coding, testing, and maintenance, right? So the fifth phase of development life cycle is nothing but our testing life cycle. So for our testing process also we follow a particular process which is nothing but called as software testing life cycle. So what are the different phases involved in software testing lifecycle? We'll see now. So in software testing lifecycle, it will be in a similar manner to the STLC. So in STLC, what we do, we first collect the requirements and then we'll analysis about whatever it is needed to go ahead with the project. You're able to see my screen, right? Everyone, are you able to see my screen? Okay. So the software testing lifecycle is similar to software development lifecycle. Whatever we do in the process in development, it will be in similar manner in testing lifecycle also. What do we do? So first we start with the test planning, then go for design, like how do we do in STLC, then we go for execution. It's nothing but like we can see as a coding phase and defect creation and reporting. So what do we do in each phase here? So test planning. So what do you mean by test planning? So before going to anything, like before going to write a test case or before going to execute any test case, first we need to know different things about a project. So in test planning, what are the things we do? For example, let's take an application as QA discussions.com. Okay, so this is our website. This is our live application, and then so we got this project to our company. So our company name is XYZ. Okay, so now we have team QA, we have 3 persons, and dev we have 2. So let's not care about any development team or anything, we'll just concentrate on a QA field. Okay, so in test plan, before going to write a test case, we need to write a test plan. So we call this test plan document as IEEE 827. So there is a organization called IEEE which will give standards to all IT companies which are present in the market. Like how we have W3C standards for all website, right? In the same form, in the similar form, for test plan also we have some document. Each and every document whatever there, like BRD document will have some designation, test plan document will have some designation. So each document, why we are giving a name? So we have different types of companies, right? So each company can go for their own model, but then all companies should follow one similar process. That's the reason we already define a template for this. So we have a template. Template means nothing but a predefined format. So this predefined format should be followed by all the IT companies in this market. Okay. So then what will be this template consisting of? So before going to any testing, what we need to know for a for a project, we need to know what is the main objective of a project. We need to know how many resources available. We need to know what are the deliverables we are going to give. So how do we will give deliverables? Means if we, for example, if you say QA discussions forum. So here we can see different types of modules available here, right? So we can deliver each and every module here in different cycles. As I said, in design phase, we'll first what we do, we divide entire project into modules and each module into sub modules, right? So here we can deliver each and every small module in a particular time. So what do we do in this deliverables? We will say we complete testing in, first of all we'll write test cases for first module, for example dashboard. Then we'll go to some registration form, and then the next deliverable, these are the deliverables. We'll give certain date form. Here we give some date and we'll say on particular this date we are going to deliver a particular dashboard. And then after this module completed, and again we'll go for a registration module, and we'll also maintain a date here. So in this way we'll give some deliverables date also here. So these are all necessary. And also in test plan we have so many things. We also discuss test plan in detail, but I'm giving an overview of a test plan for you now. Okay, so what is an entry criteria, exit criteria, or we can say suspension criteria. So what do you mean by entry criteria, exit criteria? Suppose we are having an application, so with what functionalities, what are the different types of testing we are going to do? So we'll say in before only what are the types of testing we are going to do, and with what inputs, like BRD document, taking a BRD document into the consideration, we are going to enter into the project. So we can specify entry criteria. And exit criteria, suspension criteria is nothing but there may be chances of there may be a chances of getting a pause in between the project. Like for example, if a budget is over, a budget allocated, for example for QA discussions the budget allocated is 5 million. But then after completing writing a test cases, see we have these resources, developer, not only these resources will have for a project, we have different types of teams. So each day per hour they'll give some, they'll release some amount, right? So taking it all into those consideration, as for suppose after this is a long term project that is for 10 years, so after 5 years the budget has been exhausted. So what we'll do, we'll stop the project until and unless we get a we get again the payment, then only we'll go to we are going to start. So this is a simple example of suspension criteria. Suspension is nothing but we are going to stop the project. We will also mention this prior only. And this test plan document will be given to all, like our upper management level, CEO or our managers and also client. So all the documents like BRD, test plan document, test cases, everything will be reviewed by the client, CEO, and our QA director. Whatever we have upper level management in a company, everyone will see these documents. So for a junior QA or QA persons, we'll also able to see the test plan, but we want given access to edit this document. Instead of editing, this will be given to QA people as a read only mode. So we can read the test plan, but we cannot modify anything. Only QA manager will be able to modify anything. Okay. And what are there? So we have test plan objective, resources available, deliverables, entry exit criteria, and schedule. Day to day schedule will give day to day in the sense cycle to cycle. And then we'll have uh, resource planning. Means if we are having first of all, for any application, we do manual testing. Then only we go for automation testing. Without doing any manual testing on an application, we can't do automation, because we need to see manually first whatever GUI elements we are having in an application. We have to verify those things manually, like if it is accepting or not. For example, if I take any login form, there itself, for username or email ID, it's not accepting, it's not the application is not standard. If the application is not standard, then we cannot go for automation testing. After completing the manual testing only, any project can opt automation testing. Okay, so we give, first of all, if we are planning for a manual testing, we give that. And if we are having any plans for automation, see, if it is a long term project, we'll have plenty of time. We can meanwhile we can complete a manual test cases and parallelly to reduce the effort. For example, this application is having some test cases over 1,000. So every, if there is any for example, if there is any database change in between, each and every day the technology will be modified for any application, right? So if the technology is being changed and we want to implement those technology in our application to be competitive to other already existing companies, so what we need to do, we need to upgrade. For example, if there is any situation like we need to change the database, so what do? We transform entire files in the database to new. So we need to verify all the 1,000 test cases, right? So we need to see whether the application is working correctly or not. There, 1,000 test cases is not possible for a QA team. We said three QA persons, right? So for 1,000 test cases for these 3 persons, how many days it will take? It may take weeks of time, right? Because 1,000 test cases is a lot more. So for that reason, to reduce those effort, we'll go for automation test cases. What do we do in automation? The manual test cases which we tested, we transform those into automation, but we don't create any new test cases. We'll just take the reference of manual test cases and then go to automation. So if we have any plan for automation, then we mention in the resource planning. So in this way, we have so many things in test plan. We'll also discuss it in brief. So this is the first phase of a testing life cycle, where we discuss, where we plan for each and everything in QA cycle, whatever we do. For example, if you say test execution, so what are the types of tools we are using? So everything will mention here for a execution. What are the tools we are going to use? What is the environment we are going to use? Let's say we are developing application and we are testing in a Firefox browser. Okay, Firefox browser we are opening and verifying it. But we cannot say the end user who are going to use that particular application is only using Firefox, or he's using Google Chrome or Safari, Internet Explorer. We don't know what is the environment he's going to use. We don't know, right? So we need to do cross browser testing, where if they are using Windows application, then Internet Explorer will be the default. And if they are going to use a Mac laptop, then Safari browser will be the default one, right? So we need to do the cross browser testing also. For simple elements like text box or drop down or any button, these won't vary in a these won't vary for Google Chrome to Firefox. Let's see how it will show in Safari. See, here the look and feel is also same. It is very similar to Chrome also. But if we have some complex, like if we take a registration form, it is having so many modules. We need to see whether everything is same or not. See how there is a drop down here. It is in this form. But if we open in Chrome, how it will be? We need to verify. We need to see in each and every browser here. It is also same. Let's see in Firefox. See here there is a bit difference in the drop down. If you see carefully, here it is different, and again here also it is different. There is no drag bar here in this Google Chrome, but we are getting a drag bar in Chrome, right? So in this way, we have to do cross-browser testing also. So whatever we are using operating system and whatever we are using a browser, we will mention all the platforms in the environment field. So each and everything, whatever a small thing involved in QA process, all the things needs to be planned well before. So for example, as I said, during the project bidding only, if there is any experienced people, or if it is a bank application already, the company which has done this bank application, will the client will give, there is a more probability of giving this project to those people, right? So if there is experienced people, during the test plan only he can say, okay, I have already worked in a QA and there I faced such in scenarios. So we need to compulsorily do this cross browser testing and security testing, because through this browser we can also hack the particular account. So in that way, we a experienced person can say. So during the test plan preparation, all the QA persons, like first of all, the test plan will be prepared by QA manager. Okay, it will be prepared by a QA manager, and after, QA manager will sit with the developer and all technical manager, all the head of departments, he'll sit and he'll prepare with the prior experience. And again, the test plan will be reviewed by all the QA members, all the people, because they may also have some ideas or some things they've faced in past QA experience. They can also say their own opinions, right? So in this way, all the things will be planned well before. So this test plan will be prepared by QA manager, and also will be discussed with the QA members later on. This test plan document will be access will be given to all team members, but then there won't be any edit mode. It will be in a read only mode. This will be after preparing test plan. This will be signed by again CEO and technical manager. So after this sign signature only, this test plan document will be given to the other QA members. It will be in a read only mode. Okay. So we need to plan well before whatever process is there. In requirement in SDLC also, what we do, we collect all the requirements, we analyze them, all the technology we have, resources we have, and then only the BRD document. Then they give the green signal, and the process will be started, right? In a similar manner, the first phase of this STLC test planning, we plan everything, whatever we have in a QA process, whatever we are going to do. Even if I say I'm going to report defect, what are the tools I'm going to use? Why either it may be Bugzilla, Jira, or Quality Center. So in this way, all the things will be mentioned in a test plan. We'll see in detail test plan, because as a QA person, we need to know how we write a test plan and all. We need to have a experience. We need to see. So we'll take some application example and we'll see how we need to write a test plan, everything. So for today, I'm just giving an overview. So this is the first phase of a STLC. Next phase is test design. So what do we do in test design? In SDLC phase, design phase means we are creating some data flow diagrams to see which page will be navigated where, and what will be the destination links, everything, right? So here in test design, we create a test cases. So if we are creating a test cases, so where do we write? We use some test management tools, Quality Center. So if you take a Quality Center, we can write the test cases there and itself, and also we can update this, we can do test execution. So test design is nothing but we are going to create a test cases, use in certain tools called Quality Center. So we can write test cases by using different techniques. So for example, if we want to create, if we have deal for loans. For example, here there is a mobile field. So if there is a range, data range, they give the mobile number should accept only 10 characters or 20 characters. So how do we test this particular box? We don't take 1 to 20 numbers and we don't test it. It's a waste of time. We cannot write test cases for each and every scenario. If we are testing any particular element with any condition, then we need definitely need to have a test case so that we can update the status whether it is a pass or a fail test case, right? So in these situations, what we do, will take some equivalence class partition and boundary value analysis. Those techniques we take and then we create a test case and we'll execute those particular test cases. So there are a number of test case design techniques. We'll also discuss those in detail while we go for test case creation. So we do test design by following certain techniques. Okay. So in test design, what we do, we write the test cases by using some test design techniques. Okay. And then what will be my next phase? The next phase is a test execution. Here we execute the test cases in tools. For example, if it is an Excel sheet, or what do we do in test execution? We actually execute test cases. What do you mean by executing execution of test cases? For example, if I have a BRD document, so before going to this test execution, let's see how it will be a BRD document. As I said, BRD means business requirement document. All the things which are related to an application will be mentioned over there, right? So what I said, our application is a QA discussions, right? So our application is QA discussions and it is a BRD document. For example, we can see a login form as this one. Like we need to give our username, password, and we have to log in. So in BRD, before this application only, they'll we need to give this particular document to developer and also QA. So developer need to have all these things, like it should accept alphabets or numeric values and special characters. So if a developer needs to develop an application, he need to have an idea. So with taking, he need to have some inputs so that he can go ahead and create some logic, which will be a functional thing tomorrow. So he need to have all the do's and do nots so that he can create an application, and also he need to have some screen capture. So if we take some screen capture, like we need to mention login above and we need to have some register link and some forgot password. So if we give some idea, it will be easy for a developer to do. And as a tester, before creating test case, see in every company, during the development phase only, the BRD document will be given to development team and also QA team at the same time. Why? If we have this document and we don't have any application, we can go ahead and create test case, right? So we should not waste any time. So we should not be idle until the developer takes some 30 days of time and he creates a certain piece of application and he deliver to us. So we cannot waste the 30 days of time. The testers also should utilize the time, right? So what we do as a tester, we also take the BRD document. So for us, it is enough if we are able to see some screenshot. This is for reference. If we know, like test username should accept alphabets, then we can write a test case for this. It should, whether it is accepting a test case or not. We'll just write a title. We'll give some steps. We'll give some URL. We know the URL, right? They already given the application URL. So we'll go ahead and write the test cases. So BRD document is a very important. We need to study the BRD document very thoroughly, and then only we have to prepare a defect. If we feel anything is wrong, then we have to do. So in test execution, what we do, will verify actual value and expected value. So how do we know expected? All the expected values are nothing but the values which are mentioned in a BRD document will be expected values. So they already give, it should accept alphabets, numeric values, and special characters, right? So these are all the things which are mentioned in a BRD document will be your expected values. So then we can know what is expected value. Then what we can do, we can go ahead and test this particular scenario in an application. So in test execution, what we do, we will verify actual and expected values. Okay, so if we find whatever we do, we'll have all the test cases, whatever we prepare the test cases in previous phase, we as soon as we get an application, then we'll execute all the test cases against the application, and we'll verify we already have expected values, so we'll see what is the result. So for example, I got an sample piece of application. So what did they say? Username should contain a alphabets. So I'll verify, I'll execute those particular scenario against this particular application, and I'll verify. So I'm now whatever I do here, I'll get an actual value. Expected value is already there. So here whatever I'm going to get, it is an expected value, right? So I'll verify those two. And if I find any deviation, what do I do? The next phase is a defect creation. So if I find the actual value is deviating from the expected value, I'll go ahead and create a defect. So deviation in result. So that's nothing but a defect. Defect is a deviation in actual and expected result. So we'll create a defect. Here we use some tools. Again, where do we write a defects? Whatever we write, we need to give it to a development team. So for example, we say in this application, the defect is related to DBA. If I click on register link, and I get a form here. So whatever I do, if I click on a complete sign up, I need to get a okay, your account is successfully created. Instead of that, if it is giving an error like there is please contact the administrator, there is no account here. So it may be belonging to server error, or it may be an error due to database missing. We don't know whatever error it is. What do we do? As and when we get some error, we just create in a tool and we'll give it to a QA manager. So if the this will have this is this particular defect tool will have access to DBA team, administration team, development team, manager, everyone will have the access. So for those access, we need to use some tools. If we use Excel sheet, it won't be a good practice. Why? Any person can modify that particular document, or even there is a chance of missing the document, right? So we need to use certain tools. You can use either a quality center, or we can use Jira. Okay, so there are certain tools for this defect creation. So we write whenever we find a deviation in result, we'll go ahead and create those defects in QC and Jira. There are so many tools in the market, but these two are a bit popular and widely used in IT market. So I'm mentioning these names. Zira is a product of Atlassian company, and QC is from HP. So now QC is modified to ALM. So now we need to call it as a ALM, not QC. It is 11.5 latest version. Okay, so after defect creation, we report it. So it is the same tool. What we do, we give defects to the development team. Again, development team will fix it, and again we'll execute that particular. So after we make that, after we ensure that the defect is okay, it is fixed, then only it will be given. We see what is a defect life cycle also in our coming classes. Okay, so here this will be a cyclic process. Until and unless we feel that particular defect is fixed, we'll give to development team, and it will come to execution. Again we create a defect, again it will go to development team. So this will be a cyclic process over here, until and unless a bug is fixed. Okay, so this is what about a software testing life cycle. Do you have any questions here? If you have anything, you can ask me. So now let's see what are the different levels of testing, and what do you mean by black box testing and white box testing. So As I said, this is our application. So we'll take this application as an example throughout our discussion or throughout our training. So here there are so many features here. We have some blog post articles. We have so many functionalities here. We have some question query form, and we have some training, jobs, articles, news, everything, right? So there may be so many developers who are involved in developing this particular application, so they all need to integrate the code, and then we'll get that code. For example, so we are having different modules over here. This is a module, this is a module, and this is a module. So all will develop a code, and they'll integrate a code, and at a point they'll all mix the code, they'll integrate the code, and then it will be released, so that we have a application ready. Everything will be given into live now. After testing, it will be given into your live. Then we have a the entire code will, on the logic will be transformed into an application over here. So here whatever code is there here, they are testing, they all integrate the code from each and every desktop, and then they'll integrate here and they'll do testing. So here, who is doing this particular type of testing? Developers, right? So developers will do this particular type of testing, and this is called unit testing. And here, what do? They are doing integration testing. They are integrating the entire code, and then they are doing an integration testing. So here we are not we are the developers are able to see the code, and here there is no code in the on the application. Whatever the QA will do, we'll do it on an application. We are not, there is no code visible to the QA people. So here whatever the code is visible, the type of testing is called as a white box testing, because the code is visible to here. And white box testing is done by developer team only. Developers only do this white box testing. And here whatever the testing we do, it is called black box testing. Here the code is not visible to us. Whatever we are doing it in a application. That may be a functional testing, that may be automation, anything. Whatever we do, there is no code visible to the QA people. So this type of testing is called as a black box testing. So here the first step is a unit testing. Each and every single developer also will check whether his particular code is working or not. So what he'll do unit testing. Small feature, for example, is creating a simple text box over here for username. Okay, so after creating some particular logic, like it should accept alphabets, it should accept numerics, so he'll develop a particular simple code. So for this thing also he need to verify whether it is working or not. So what he'll do, he'll just verify in his system whether it is showing some username and it is accepting or not. So simple units also he need to verify whether it is working correctly or not. And on a whole, after integrating all the code, for example, the home is developed by other developer, blocks is developed by another developer. So they'll integrate the code and then they'll also verify here. So here the first testing each developer he'll do is called as a unit testing, and then after integrating into one system, it is called integration testing. And the next one, whatever we do, is called system testing. In system testing, all types of testing are covered. That may be any load testing, that may be performance testing, or that may be stress testing, security testing, functional testing, GUI testing. Whatever testing we do, it is all the types of testing will come under a system testing. We have so many types of testing in QA field. So all those testing will come under a system testing. And then after system testing, what do we do? Yesterday, as I said, we also do user acceptance testing. So after everything is ready in QA, we'll deliver it into a client's box, right? In client system also we'll verify. So in client system, if we do, it is called as alpha testing, and if we do in on our system, it is called as beta testing. So we do user acceptance testing here. User acceptance testing. So these are the different levels. First we do unit testing, then integration testing is done, then system testing is done, then comes the user acceptance testing. So once the user acceptance testing is done, it is the application is now ready for the end user to use it. So these are the different types of levels of testing, and also difference between a white box and a black box testing. Clear, right? Okay. So now the most important part for a tester: how to create a test case. What is a test case? How many types of a test case are there? So we usually here for a QA, the main role comes in preparation of test cases and defects. So we need to be very careful in doing, because it is a primary responsibility for a tester to do. The primary responsibility of a developer is to write a code in a correct form. For us to write a test case, and then because test case is nothing but we are testing the functionality against the application. So this, if it is if we are ensuring the quality, it means we are the application is ready to use for an end user, right? So we need to carefully write a test case. So what is a test case? For example, if I click on a register link, so I need to verify whether this account username is accepting alphabets or numerics or anything. So what I'm doing here, I'm testing a condition. Whatever, if alphabets is a condition, numeric is a condition, special characters is a condition, and also I can mix those conditions. Like if I say it is accepting alphabets and numerics, it also should accept the combination of both alphabets and numeric, right? So I need to write different types of conditions for a test case. Each condition is called as a test case. I'm testing each condition. Or for example, and we also have something called test scenario. Here testing this particular username is a scenario, where for this scenario we have different types of conditions. So each condition is called as a test case. So you got it, right? So the test scenario will have number of test cases, and each condition is also called as a test case. So whatever we do, we are just verifying particular functionality for its correctness. Test case is nothing but a testing a particular condition to verify its uh, requirement, like whatever it is mentioned in a BRD document, that we are going to ensure. So that is nothing but a test case. Each test condition is called as a test case, and this will fall under a test scenario. So each test scenario will have number of conditions which are also called as a test case. So now how to write a test case? What is a there will be a template for even test case. Also there is a predefined template. We can the minimum, there are some minimum and mandatory things, and also we can even mention a extra things also. So let's see what are the mandatory things now. So for example, I'm going to test a case like username should accept alphabets. That may be, again, if I say alphabets, it will be lowercase, and again I can write for a uppercase. Okay. So for now, this is my test scenario. So for this particular test scenario, I have to write a test case. So if I want to write a test case, there is a predefined template. I need to mention a title. Okay. I need to mention a precondition. I need to write a description. It's a optional one. Test steps. Environment. Expected value. So if we are executing a test case, it means we are verifying actual and expected value, right? So we need to have these values also here. And there is some optional field called keywords. So what would be my title? What I am verifying here? Username should accept lowercase letters. So here I need to mention this is the template. Like we need to have a minimum of a title, a precondition, description, test steps, environment, actual value, and expected value. So these all should be there for defining a particular test case. If we don't have any test steps, we have only title. Okay, you can understand that particular test case if you work for that project continuously. But tomorrow, if another new person comes into your position, if you have only title and if you don't have any test steps or environment, he may not understand. So these are the minimum things to be mentioned so that it will be flexible to any person to understand. Even a person non-QA person also can understand by seeing the test case, because he know what is meant by test step, what is meant by environment, what is the expected and actual value, what is a keyword, he know that meaning. So this is a template already designed for a particular test case. So depending upon tool to tool, it will also differ. So for example, there will be a description only in QC. We don't give test steps. In description only, we'll define all the step by step process. So, and whereas in test link, we'll have separate field for this test steps and description. So the template is the same, but the context behind this test case is same. But how we are utilizing that particular tool, that will differ. But for a minimum test case, we need to have a title and a condition. Description is optional. Why is this description means we are giving some additional information. For example, if you have this registration form in particular application two times, like if we say deal for loans, here you can have a get quote, and again if you go for home loan, again here the same similar form we are having to get a quote of home loan. So we don't know which one we are verifying. So for that reason, we can mention in the description field like under home loan, this get code button. So here we are working. So if we have any such scenarios, we can mention those extra points under a description. So we may or may not give that description, but it is better to always have a description. And what is the title? Coming to title, it should be small and precise. We should not give entire test including the test steps in a title. So the title should be very small and precise. It should here we are not mentioning any steps, but by seeing the title itself, we are able to understand that we are verifying that particular username is accepting lowercase letters or not. So this simple and small sentence is making us to understand what are we going to do in this particular test case. So it should be small and precise, and also you should maintain a simple English words. So we will have different country people working in the same company, right? So people may or may not know the hi-fi words which you are using. different people will have different culture, different language in their own countries. So if you use a simple English word, it will be very easy to all people to understand. So whenever you write a title or anything in a test case, maintain it in a simple words and a small sentence. Okay, that will help for all the people to understand it in a better way. And coming to precondition, so this is the main part of a test case. So whatever we, if you, in the name it indicates, see, precondition. So before executing this test case, we need to have this particular condition. So then only we are going to execute. So whatever we are going to, executing a test case, first you'll need to look into a precondition field. So if, for example, there are so many QA levels in your company, and the application is a live bigger application. So for example, if you take a airlines or railways application, it will contain so many things like ticket booking, and also so many functionalities it will have. So if for a QA person, normal QA person, there is no need of him to look into that particular things, or he may not given the access for that particular thing. So we need to verify the access, or access was given to him or not. So whatever we mention in a precondition, like we need to verify. For example, I'm saying verify access to the register. So here what we are doing in this particular application, we are verifying a precondition. So, for example, in an IT company, there won't be any access of Gmail. In some IT companies, they won't give access to a social networking sites and so on. Or if your company is belonging to email marketing company itself, and you need to verify, and the access is not given to you. So if you go and open that particular application, you will see error 404. What you will do, you'll create a defect and you will pass it to a development team. Then what does the development team say? You need to have the access, you need to check the access, then only you have to verify. So for those reasons, we should not simply create a defect. We need to first discuss with the QA lead, then only we'll create a defect, right? So here, whatever, so for before going execution of this test case, you need to have the access. So whatever the condition needed prior to uh, execute that particular test case, we need to mention in a precondition. So precondition is the very important point. It may have for each and every test case or not. If there is any something important, we need to mention in a precondition before going to execute that particular test case. For example, if I want to verify, for example, if I want to verify my letter is a particular my email, I'm drafting an email, I'm composing it to a through a gateway, where I need to see whether gateway is working correctly or not. Even we'll verify backend. There is some backend testing also in QA. So if you are going to test backend testing, what do we need to do? For example, we want to verify the server functionality. What you may increase the stress to the server, where the particular email should not be able to deliver. So there you need to verify. We need to mention the precondition, right? You need to mention here increase load on server. So we need to do some modifications, and then only we need to execute this particular test case. So whatever there is a precondition to to go ahead and execute this test case, so we need to mention then and there itself. So if you don't increase the load in the backend server, and if you are going to test that particular application, it's a waste, because the main intent here is to verify if we increase load on a server, whether it is able to deliver that particular email in the inbox for end user, right? So the main intent is to verify that scenario. But here, if you miss this precondition and verify composing and delivering in inbox, it will normally it will deliver without any problem, right? So in such scenarios, we need to mention the precondition compulsorily. So whatever we need before executing the test case, we'll mention in a precondition. This will be there for every test case or not, depending upon the complexity of a test case. We have to mention precondition. And coming to test steps. So how do we give these test steps? First, navigate to URL. So we give some URL, and the second point, enter the lowercase letters. And the third point, click on, or we need to write password even, right? So give a password. Fourth one, click on login. So here we have 4 steps. So whatever we have to do in stepwise, we have to give in a clear picture. So whatever we are going to perform on an application, against an application, whatever we have here, we need to give in a step by step process, so that it will be easy for anyone to read and execute. So from opening an application until clicking on a login button, we have to give all, we have to mention all the steps which are necessary for that particular test case. And environment, test steps is nothing but we are giving in a step by step process whatever actions we are performing on a application. And environment, so if we are verifying this particular on a, even we can mention a build number like 1.0, and browser Chrome, and OS is Mac. As I said, environment is nothing but whatever we are having, like either it may be software or hardware, wherever we are testing this particular application, this is called as an environment. So we'll mention environment also. So what is the importance of environment? See, the developer, when we give some logic, he may develop in particular by you. He may, while developing a code, he'll write a code and he'll test in a IE or Chrome. He may not be aware of this another browsers like Safari, Netscape. We have so many types of browsers, right? So he may not be aware of those things. So if we mention this environment, we have to test in these particular browsers or operating system, it will be easy for developer. So while developing the next code, what he'll do, as and when he develops some unit code, he'll verify against all the browsers. One time he'll do on a IE, Chrome, Firefox, and Safari. So environment plays a major role here. Even the browsers will are also updating day by day. Before 6 months, we used to have Firefox 4.0, but now present version of Firefox is 16.0, right? So even it will also make a difference. The web application, we used to have HTML before. Now we are having HTML5, and also we are having a jQuery. So if we are designing any web elements, it will make a lot of difference from browser to browser, and also application. So we have to see all the environment carefully, because we don't know what the end user is going to use. Everything, whatever we are doing, it should be comfortable. If Gmail is comfortable only, we'll use that particular Gmail. If it is, if we are not able to understand how to compose, how to draft a mail, how to send, how to check inbox, how to check the notifications, if we don't know, we don't use those particular applications, right? So the environment plays a major role. So what is the actual value? Whatever we do, whatever the result we get after performing these particular test steps, then we get a actual value. Expected value means BRD value. Like it should accept, right? So user should be able to log in with lowercase letters. So expected value will always there in a BRD document. So this is what expected value and actual value. So what is the keyword here? For example, you'll have a regression testing. As I said, if you are modifying from 1 dB to another dB, so what you will do? Entire testing you'll do for, or even if whatever you fill the form here, it will go and store in a dB. So for example, I want to verify if I give a username as vanilla, it is already there in a, I need to check, there may be so many persons with the same name. So what I need to know, I need to verify whether this username is already there or not. So what it does, it will query, it will check all the database for this verifying this particular name, and then it will give me username already exist. Okay, see here it is showing some error, right? Only lowercase letters and numbers are allowed. So here this is already mentioned in a BRD document. Okay, these types of condition already will be mentioned in a BRD document. So here whatever we do, it is what it is in DB test case, in with respect to a DB we are doing. So how can we tag this test case? As we can write as a DB test case. So in which way it help? If we are writing as a DB test case, how it is helping me? For example, tomorrow if I go to a new database, what I'll do, first of all, before going to functionality testing, I'll filter all the test cases with DB test case, and then I'll first verify the DB test cases. Then only I'll go to regression testing, and then if there are any security testing like that. So if we give some keywords for these test cases, it will be easy. Or if you are today we are having home feature, tomorrow we are getting this community feature. So whatever we are doing, we are taking new code and we are integrating into the already existing application, right? So here for example, we are introducing new field called activity. So we already have all these examples before only. So what do we need to do? We need to verify the existing functionality and also other functionality. So let's suppose we can call it as a regression testing. When each and every cycle we introduce a new code, we do regression testing. So all the test cases may not be important for verifying. So if we tag this particular test case with a name, it will help us in execute during the execution of test cases. So this is the template of a test case. In this way, we have to write a test case. We have to write a title. We have to write a condition. We have to give some description if it is necessary. Test steps, environment, actual value, expected value, and keywords. So in every tool, whatever the tool you may use in your IT company, you will definitely have this field, title field, description or test step field, environment, actual and expected value, and keywords. So you'll definitely have these fields in any test management tool. So the wherever tool we write test cases, it is called as test management tool because we are storing our test cases. For example, quality center is called as a test management tool. Okay, so this is what a test case. In this way we write, it is a simple condition. What is our scenario? It should accept alphabets. But in alphabets also we are having two types, like lowercase we can give, uppercase we can give, and also we can mix giving lowercase and uppercase, and lowercase uppercase with numerics, lower upper with special characters. We can write lot of test cases for each and every simple condition. And in test cases we have to remind few points, we have to note few points, like we need to have a positive and negative test cases. Each and every functionality, for example, I'm saying to use lowercase and uppercase, and also lowercase uppercase with numeric. So we should not maintain single test cases for two scenarios. So here what we can say, test case will not have two conditions. Okay, because for example, if it is accepting lowercase and uppercase but not numerics, how do you say that particular test case is a pass case or a fail case? You cannot judge that particular test case, right? So each and every single condition should have a separate test case. Okay, so we should note that we should not give any two conditions in a single test case. This is a very important point you need to note. What in some companies they'll write so many conditions in a simple single test case. It is a bad practice. We cannot say if there is any big regression testing is going or there is a big release. How do they do? If they say we have only 10 test cases for particular registration form, it's not enough to test all the functionalities. We need excuse me, we need to verify how many different conditions we are able to write, and we have to divide into simpler conditions and write a test case for each and every scenario. Okay, so this is a test case. How do we write a test case and a template of a test case? Okay.